Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bubbles Free Troubles, brought to you by Champagne Friday. This is a very, very special episode.
Deep.
As you can see us, we're visual. We've decided to do video, and the reason why we're doing video, drum roll please, it's Leo season, and Andrew and I are both Leos, so we like to be a little bit over the top,
A little bit, yeah.
a little bit extra, and we're gonna try this format, but let everyone know where we're at right now.
We are in the beautiful Teatro building, downtown Calgary. They're fantastic dining room, but more importantly, they're fantastic cellar. One of the best, certainly in Western Canada. If you've never had the privilege of going down and actually checking it out, it's quite a sight to behold, but we'll maybe take you down there a little later and show you what it's all about. While we get down to the business of tasting, what else?
Yeah,
Some bubbles.
we're gonna taste a lot of bubbles today, so big thank you to Teatro for letting us take over their space, and join us as we go downstairs to the cellar.
To the cellar. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for joining us in this chilled cellar. We've changed into our appropriate attire.
Yeah, cellarware.
Turtleneck season, Leo season, it's the same thing. Okay, so we're gonna walk you through what we're actually gonna be doing here today. We've got 4 different types of bubbly. Andrew has picked out 2, I've picked out 2. We don't know which one is which, and we're just gonna do some blind tasting.
Mm-hmm. And I think the what we're trying to illustrate here is like different price points. So we've got a high and we've got a low wine. You know, all 4 I'm sure of like very good quality, but at the same time one is clearly, ideally, the better one, and then there's the lower price everyday kind of like backyard bubbles, and then there's the fancy like wine cellar bubbles.
So what we're trying to prove here is maybe the backyard bubbles aren't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
They could be pretty good. And I mean, we've got excellent palates. If there's anyone that should know if it's good or not, it's Andrew and myself.
We certainly spend a lot of time training them.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, price is not always an indication of quality, and quality doesn't really have a price point. Like if it's made with care, you should have great bubbles at any price. So
yeah.
we're gonna put that to the test.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get started. All right, kiddies. We're gonna do our very first bottle.
I'm ready. This is taking far too long to get the actual drinking part of this.
Let us take down the sock just a little bit.
Alright, so we've kept these blind. We knew what we brought, and we knew which bottles were, but I don't know which one is which of mine that I brought, and I believe flat out it's the same for you, so here we go. First, this is nice nose, very bright, lots of lemon. It's like a little touch toasty.
Yeah, there is the toast.
And I mean, we're using a proper wine glass rather than a champagne flute, so we're not going to have like a huge amount of like visual bubble. Well, this is a great way to start.
Oh.
I think this is delicious.
Oh man, just tuck me in for a nighttime bedtime story right now.
I mean, it's got lots of acid. It's got like somewhat creamy palate, like there's a little bit of weight. I don't know if I'd say it's like a high amount of residual sugar, but there's definitely some ripeness. It's very like elegant. The bubbles are super small.
Yeah.
It's really hangs on too. Like it actually like keeps tasting long after you've swallowed. So.
But they're still like dancing. The bubbles are like having a little jingle on my tongue.
Yeah, it's not like heavy and like sitting around. I've used the term like a walrus on your tongue.
Right.
It's definitely got some movement. It's got some like heft, but so much like strong acidic backbone that it's actually really wonderful. Very brazen to like come into this and think that you know what it is, but some wines are just so familiar. So to me, this is champagne. I think it's a house style, and I think it's one that we're all pretty familiar with. I actually think this is like the yellow label, like it reminds me of Bubbly. It's got just a little bit of sweetness, like depth of fruit. It's super, like the acid is like just going at my teeth. It's wonderful. I wouldn't say it's like an extra brut or a dry. I think it's Bubbly. I think it's Bubbly.
Reveal time. This is number 1.
Wine
so
number 1.
remind us what you thought this was.
Okay, well, I said that of the 4 wines, because we have 2 that are of high quality, I thought this was of high quality right away. I thought it was classic champagne. I was saying that it must be from a champagne house, done in a house style, because it seemed very familiar to me. I put it at about $70 to $80.
Yep.
And I went one step further, saying that it reminded me very much of Veuve Clicquot. So let's pour another taste.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Let's see.
We need to be drinking while we're revealing.
Well, yeah. If I got the guess completely wrong, what is Madame Clicquot? She said, "I need champagne in victory and in defeat." So here we go. Wine number 1. Thank you very much.
Wine number 1. Andrew thinks it is Veuve Clicquot.
Yeah. Oh! I get to keep my sommelier accreditation for one more day.
And this is why you will hire Andrew Stewart for all of your kids' birthday parties.
Because kids love a good champagne magic trick like that. Wow!
But you nailed it. You totally nailed it.
Beautiful. Well, I mean, that just goes to show. And as much as I love grower champagnes and they're like very expressive individual plots, I think there is an amazing amount of skill that goes into being able to produce a wine that tastes the same at a high quality level year after year after year when you're using, in some cases decades of base wines to make the blend. That's fantastic. So well done, Veuve Clicquot.
Well done for you.
Oh.
And I chose this wine because, Madame Clicquot, she was one of the very first women to be making champagne. So I love this champagne so much. And I mean, you nailed it. And technically, you thought it was a little bit more expensive than it actually is.
Oh.
I paid $67 for this bottle.
Yeah.
So really nice to bring out on a little bit of a special occasion. Won't break the bank, but still really pleases the crowd.
On to wine number 2. This is one of the wines that I brought. So, and I know the 2 that I brought, so I should be able to pick it up. But for Lana, this is going to be her call. Like, is this the high quality, the low quality? Is it something that she's familiar with? Is it terrible?
A little swimmer in
Was that a
mine.
little cork in that guy?
No, it's an animal.
Oh.
It's okay.
No, I think that's cork.
Oh my gosh, I've only had one glass and I thought it was an animal. This doesn't smell like a traditional champagne to me. It doesn't have the toastiness to
Kind of
it.
autolytic, yeasty,
Yeah.
bready, buttery kind of thing. Okay.
It's like a little bit more fresh, and fruity. So I don't think it's a classic champagne.
Nice small tight bubbles though, a very, very soft perlage. Nothing sharp. So even if it's not a champagne, it could be bottle fermented, maybe not.
I don't think it's a cava because I feel like a cava bubble is much stronger and bigger, and these are really, really soft.
Yeah, they're small and very, very, very delicate.
It doesn't have, the bubbles don't dance on my tongue like the last one. So it's just I know this sounds rude. Not that this is bad. This is not a bad bubble, but it's it's falling a little bit flat for me.
Compared to the first one,
Yeah.
I agree. I don't think this is of a quality quite as high as the first wine, for sure. The bubbles on the palate are already starting to kind of dissipate a little bit. They're getting a little, if I was doing this wine knowing whatever it is, I'd want them colder.
Okay.
And I'd want to go faster. So in that sense, I think this is in that category of backyard bubbly. I agree with you. I don't think it's a bad quality wine at all.
No.
I think it's just a simpler wine.
Yeah.
If anything, it's a little more rustic.
I'm guessing, I don't think this is what it is, but I'm getting Prosecco vibes in a sense. I definitely don't think it's a classic champagne. There's no way, and if it is, then...
For me, the biggest indication that it's not champagne is it's not acidic enough.
Yeah.
It doesn't have as strong of a backbone of acidity. There's acid, but it's definitely more fruit sitting on the tongue. There's less of the zing at the end. It hangs around, but in a different way. Not nearly as elegant as the first one.
It's almost it's drinking a Sauvignon Blanc.
There's a grassy note.
With a little bit of a fizz.
Yeah, there's a grassy note to it for sure. Yeah, and I don't think there's any really residual sugar, but it's way more fruity.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, because it doesn't feel sweet on the palate. It's it smells sweet. It smells fruity. But it's I would not be upset if somebody poured me this at a picnic.
No, so I'm guessing if I were to go and buy this in the store, $28.99.
$28.99. I wish I had a Bob Barker microphone for that one. And Lana Rogers, what's your bid? $28.99. And the actual price is?
We'll find out later.
Lana blinded a moderate quality Prosecco, $28.99 retail, and she's actually nailed it. She doesn't know this yet, we haven't revealed. So it's Cantina Mongarda. This thing retails for about 30 bucks. High quality Prosecco, very fine bubble, but definitely Prosecco. So she's like nailed it perfectly, which is a very exciting thing for me because, you know, when you're not necessarily a trained professional, like getting things blind just based on what you already know and what you already like, it's fantastic. So well done, Lana.
So wine number 2. This is the reveal. I'll pour a little more for us here.
Yeah,
Now,
so-
Lana, go over what you thought it was.
I thought it was a little bit mid-range, so I thought it cost $28.99. I didn't think it was a classic champagne, just because like it didn't have those like classic crisp toasty notes with like the elongated bubble experience. I actually don't. I said Prosecco, but I don't know. I think it's like.
Well, okay, now I'm going to throw this out there.
Okay.
If you have a strong like first instinct when it comes to blind tasting,
Just do it.
don't look for things to like
Right.
like taint that. If it says
Okay.
I'm this or I'm that, just stick with it because you can really think yourself out of the correct answer.
Okay.
It's happened to me a lot.
So I'm going with a Prosecco. Oh my god! It's a Prosecco!
Well done. So okay, like now anybody who's watching this like in sequence is gonna think that we've actually like fudged this somehow, but no, I didn't tell her what I was bringing. She nailed it. And this is actually, it is a higher quality Prosecco because it's actually single vintage, 2019. Very small production, about 3,000 bottles. And 11% alcohol, so not like on the super dry
crazy.
side. It's got a little touch of residual sugar, but still technically brewed. So it's on the low side too. I happen to know this is only about like 2 grams per liter residual sugar, so it's gonna be a little more fruity, have a nice fine perlage. Well done.
I still got it.
I mean, that's incredible. Like,
Okay, Champagne Friday PSA. I've snuck outside the cellar because the second bottle that we're tasting is actually a non-alcoholic bubbly. It's not even considered champagne. It's not even considered a bubbly. It's just, there's no alcohol in it. Granted, it doesn't mean that it's bad. I feel like I'm such a bad person and I'm really challenging Andrew's skill set here, but I really want to see what he thinks of this bottle. So let's see. Here we are, number 3. Number 3.
Number 3. If we try to post this, we're gonna get pulled for copyright infringement.
Yes. Well, these sock puppets.
Yeah, that's definitely been borrowed. Okay,
Okay, number 3.
I think we're doing pretty good so far. Oh, did we go pink?
We got a little pink.
Oh, okay. You know, I was thinking about bringing something pink as well, and
I mean, pink is the color of passion, so
if there's one thing Leos are, apparently,
passionate.
passionate.
Yes.
Okay.
Ooh.
Well, that has an interesting nose. Like a little bit of a salmon smell. It has like
Stank.
it's got some stank.
Little stank.
It's got some stank. Not gonna lie. And given that the very first wine I thought was one of the higher quality ones, I'm gonna say that this is one of the lower quality ones just off the nose because it's gotten better from the first one, but like it honestly has like a canned tuna or like a canned salmon kind of nose, and I'm not really sure. I was searching desperately for a better way to say that, but it's the most.
I'm not offended. I did not make this wine.
It's the most accurate thing I could think of.
It's got a little. It's like kind of a. It's like a sock. It's got like a puppet sock stain.
I swear these were clean. These were clean. They've never been worn. They're just they're bottle socks. It's getting better for sure, but
I'm like, have I drank this before?
If there's any like discernible,
It's not corked.
It's not corked.
It's not corked.
It's just a very funny smelling wine. Like there's something. Like if there's any fruit that I can pick out of here, it's like very ripe, almost like crushed bottom of the basket berries. I know I hate doing this. I don't even think we can reveal this now because somebody's gonna get upset.
No, we have to reveal it. This is the whole point.
Okay, the palate is much more redeeming. It has a little bit of sweetness. It's almost it's like a sweet tart, kind of like candy.
Yeah.
Palate is nowhere near. It has none of the flavors that I was getting off the nose.
It kind of like but it also like fades quite quickly.
It goes very quickly. The acid is relative to the other ones we've had so far is extremely low. Like there's definitely some residual sugar. There's definitely not like a super acidic backbone. Like I think this is meant to be a really ripe and like juicy kind of style. And now it's more like, now it's actually starting to smell more like honeycomb. Like it's like.
It's very crushable. Like I think I could just like crush this in one sitting.
This is a wine I would take houseboating.
Right?
When I was like in my 20s. Like, it would appeal to everybody. Maybe not on the nose initially,
Right.
but on the palate.
Yeah.
Very delicious. It's like, yeah, again, like anything that would be resembling the acidic backbone of this is like limeade. It's like it's like a little bit confected, but totally drinkable.
What do you think it is?
That is hard for me to say because I'm not getting any particular varietal. If you're thinking about like classic areas, like even Cava seems to have like a much more like solid, acidic line through it. I don't really feel this with this wine.
But I would crush this.
Yeah.
Easy. Plus 33 degree outside.
Yeah.
River hangs. Throw it in your Yeti.
Yeah. No, it's definitely there's nothing wrong with the wine itself. It just had a little bit of a funky nose when you first opened it. So like again, any wine is gonna benefit from even like 2 to 3 minutes of air, but it smells much better now. Okay, so price wise, I personally would be disappointed if this was over $20 retail. Like I think there's plenty of good wines at that price.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of how I would expect them to deliver. They're not crazy, but if I was pouring them for a room full of strangers that didn't know I worked in wine for a living, I'd be like, yeah, they're gonna like this.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what we would call the low side, just something that's delicious, drinkable,
Crushable, lovable, unbelievably huggable.
unoffensive.
Unoffensive. I like that.
Unoffensive. The nose, give it a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, let the nose just like aerate.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't think it's Cava. I don't think it's. I almost feel like this is like. It'd be something weird, like a Canadian or a California sparkling wine of some sort, like of a entry level price point, just some fun bubbles from someplace that maybe doesn't make a lot of good quality bubbles.
Okay, so we're thinking under $20,
Yeah.
unsure of the grape varietal.
Yeah, I can't place it.
All right, number three,
Three.
Andrew's favorite bubbly of all time. We've actually changed locations because this bubbly is perfect for public spaces, being outdoors amongst others.
A little dog walking bubble.
Dog walking, not gonna get arrested, just a real casual bubble. So let's try it again. Ooh, ooh. Okay.
The wine's angry that I didn't give it a very good initial reaction on the nose. But let's see how it's going. Because I honestly believe that it was getting better every second that it was open. Yeah, see, it already smells better.
It's better. It just needed some time.
A little fresh air.
Oh,
Maybe.
right? See? Within the outdoors, the great outdoors. Just think you're with your friends, you're living life, anyone can drink this.
Yeah, nobody would be upset about this.
Everyone loves this. Everyone does. Everyone.
Okay, so
honey and red berries. I think this is. I'm gonna stick with what I said. I'm gonna say it's around $20,
Okay.
and I'd be totally happy with that. But I don't have a particular like guess on what or where it's from.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. It's like I can't quite discern where it's from, but for $20, it'd be like a great houseboating building. Let's see what we got here.
This is a non-alcoholic bubbly.
I should have guessed when she said not get arrested. Non-alcoholic. Why would you do this? Eh? I'm just kidding. Okay, so this is, considering that this is non-alcoholic, this is actually really fantastic because I wouldn't have guessed that it wasn't a wine. I would have just thought it was just a lower quality, maybe like, and that's why I was saying like I can't really peg where this is from because there's something missing.
Yeah.
But there you go, 0% alcohol. It is Chardonnay and Pinot, so I mean,
There's 0% alcohol. We're out in the outdoors. You can drink this and not get arrested.
yeah.
Right?
I mean, this is a great road trip champagne. I mean, no alcohol, no anything. Like, I have to say, I can't recall the last time I had a non-alcoholic wine, but this tasted like wine.
So this is quite new. There's a lot of non-alcoholic wines coming out, and Weinart's just brought this in. And when I tasted it for the first time, I thought it was fabulous. I have a lot of friends who don't drink, and so just because you don't drink alcohol doesn't mean you can't enjoy good bubbly. So here we are in the park.
Yeah, well done, Oddbird. I have to say that is surprisingly
Right?
I wouldn't have guessed non-alcoholic. Like I said, I just thought it was a moderate low end wine, and yeah, you had me fooled. I thought it was wine.
Wine number 4.
Number 4. Whew. How are we feeling?
It's been an emotional journey for me. I'm not gonna lie. That last wine really rocked me to my core. I don't know who I am anymore.
I'm really challenging Andrew's talent here with, I threw one in. I just threw it in.
Well, and like I say, like there's not a wine here that if somebody poured for me, I'd have to spit it out and be like, no, that's like, I'll have a beer, thank you, or some ditch water. This is what it's about though. I mean, you taste these things blind. You remove all of the assumptions with the label or the area or where it comes from, and you actually have to really focus on the wine.
Yeah.
And decide if it's of a good quality.
We're not judging the wine, stereotyping it based on the label.
What's in the bottle. So, wine number 4.
Ooh, number 4. All right. I like what I see. Oh.
Oh, okay. It's got a wonderful, you talked about the autolytic stuff, where it starts to feel like buttered toast and honey on the nose. Like you can almost feel the smell.
Yeah. When I smell it and it just enters my body. It's in there. I don't even have to drink it.
Yeah,
it's just there.
See, and this is something I say all the time about every wine. If I love smelling the wine, that can become 70% or more of the enjoyment.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun to smell. I feel like that with good tequila, or when I get to have a good cigar or something like that. It's like you can just smell the cigar burning. You don't even really necessarily need to smoke it. I think that's like an indication of quality. I mean, and also just looking at this, it's a deeper golden color. It's got a lot more kind of depth of color. The bubbles, even though again we're not using a flute to kind of
You can see them.
They're extremely tiny.
Yeah, you can see them. They're there. Okay, should we taste this?
Yeah, so we haven't even got to a sip.
I know, right? We're just we're obsessed with the smell. Oh, yeah.
Holy hell.
This is fantastic.
This is a solid recovery from wine number 3. Yeah, this
we have recovered.
Woo!
It's toasty.
It's toasty. It is very typical to say things like brioche and those kind of rich buttery kind of bread things, but there's also this insane wine nerds like to use the word minerality, and I don't like to do it, but it's like this chalky acid.
Yep.
It's just it's wild, but the flavor actually clings to the teeth the same way that the acidity does. The back palate, it feels like there's something heavy, but you can tell there's not There's not even like a half a gram of sugar in this. Like it's dry, but it's rich. It's intensely flavored. Like I can still taste it in my olfactory. Like I've swallowed, but I can still smell it in the back of my mouth. If this isn't one of the higher quality wines in the mix, then I would be shocked, and I would recommend that you buy a basement full of this if it's one of the cheap ones.
I think this is the highest quality one. I think this is a classic champagne. I mean, I feel like this is also a producer that is not as well known because, like Andrew was saying with the first one, with more of those like bigger produced champagnes, you can really tell like they're really familiar. This is something to me that it's not as familiar. I do think it is in the $100 realm. I think it is maybe a small producer. Yeah.
I think that's super accurate. And again, like when I was saying, like this feels and tastes like Bouffe Clicquot. It's because they make the wine to be consistent year after year.
Yeah.
So every time you pick up a bottle of Bouffe Clicquot, it's going to please you because
Yeah.
it tastes like what you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And in some higher quality champagnes, we talk about like grower champagnes where a farmer is growing the grapes and is making the wine and is producing the label and shipping it out there. You usually get like a more refined sense of quality. Yeah, this is, and like this, this is one of the wines I brought, and I've never tasted this wine before, but I know the producer on reputation,
wow.
so I'm very, very, very impressed with this. It's fantastic. For me, this is the wine of the flight for sure.
This is the one. This is the one.
The one wine.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're putting it as classic champagne, about $100.
I'm putting it like 110, 112. I think you gotta go over a little bit because it's like classic.
Yeah, because you can find Bouffe for like 80, 90 bucks.
Exactly.
You know.
So, but this is the difference too. Like if you go a little bit higher, you get a little bit more of that experience.
So, Lana blinded this as proper classic champagne from a small producer and nailed the price within about $12 retail, which is, again, fantastic for a non-trained professional. Lana's got a fantastic palate, and she nailed this. So this is a beautiful single vineyard, 100% Chardonnay with a base of reserve wines that are actually fermented in the bottle as champagnes and then added back to the wine afterwards by the bottle, which is like a Cellar system that nobody else does. So you get like super beautiful acidity, like very like chalky soils and like lots of minerality, but you also get this like wild complexity. So not only did Lana nail it, I would 100% recommend getting your hands on any wine from this producer, but also like the Le Côte is fantastic. Beautiful single vineyard Chardonnay, Blanc de Blanc. Go get some and well done.
End of the road. This is the last reveal. And I think based on both of our reactions to this wine when we first tasted it, we realized we were in the presence of something very elegant, thus
Sorry.
the addition.
I can't take Andrew seriously because we've added a little bling to our outfits. All right. Oh, jeez.
So wine number 4, Lana. Let's go over your notes again. Tell me what it is, what you think, and how much.
I mean, I feel like I'm brought back to another lifetime when I drink these bubbles. You know what the tagline of this champagne should be? True vitality. Because when you smell it, you feel true vitality, right?
It's bracing. It like wakes you up. The attack of the acid on the palate is extraordinary.
Oh, it tastes even better now that it's been open for a bit.
If this wasn't champagne, I would be buying boatloads of this at any price that wasn't champagne price. But I think it's champagne as well. Obviously.
I think it's champagne. So I think it's, small producer champagne around the 110 mark.
Okay.
Andrew, please reveal our last.
Well, Lana is incredibly gifted at this for an untrained professional. I will call her a professional, but she's untrained. This is the Coquette.
Oh, amazing.
So, single vineyard, 100% Chardonnay, method Champenois. This is actually farmed biodynamically. This has almost no sulfur at all in its entire winemaking process, so this would fall under the category of a completely natural wine as well, which is what I generally do in my day job. But what's really great about this, and the reason it has so much complexity when you would expect, being from a very chalky soil, it has like a great acidity.
Yep.
But there's a richness to this and like a depth of flavor and complexity that is certainly, you know, well above like simple Blanc de Blanc. He actually disgorges them, puts them back in the tank with the new champagne. So this actually has like 7 to 9 vintages of back champagne from the bottle, not base wines from a barrel, and then
wow.
yeah, so it's really unique. He's, as far as I
feel
know,
like that is very like labor intensive.
Incredibly.
And costs money.
Yeah, well,
because if they're in the bottle.
yeah, so he disgorges all those bottles back into the tank, but then he hand disgorges every bottle of wine that he makes before it goes to market. So he does it himself. This is not Jacques, this is Emmanuel, his son, that does this.
Wow.
He disgorges every bottle by hand himself, personally.
Wow.
And he's got a great technique, so he barely wastes
Yeah.
any wine, and that's why he does it. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things about this wine that would actually
Wow.
push it into an even higher price point, but Lana, you were like pretty much spot on. I think this retails at only one store in Calgary, and it's $124. I mean, that's,
Pew, pew, pew.
it's not a small amount of money, but relative to the world of champagne,
But it's worth it.
This is worth every penny.
This
In
is
fact,
worth it.
If you would have told me that this was more, and understanding the
Yeah.
provenance and where it comes from, I would have been very happy to pay this.
But even the story though, and this is why I think it's really important for people to hear who's making these bottles, and there's always such interesting stories, and you know, we crack them, we drink them, and we don't understand like the hands-on labor that's put into this bottle, and I think it just makes it more special when you get to really experience it and know who's making these. So
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why, like, I thought this would be like a little more interesting. I was hoping, I've never
Yeah.
tried it. I was hoping it would be of the quality that I would expect, but my gosh, it is fantastic. And you're right. Like we talked about the label being the first thing that most people use as their barometer for what they want to
Yeah.
buy. And then we talk about like the quality of the wine, but also these stories are important because
Yeah.
it paints the whole picture. You get the history, you get where it comes from, you get who made it, you get the package, and then you get the actual juice that's in the bottle. You know, to me, that's like the whole picture of a good wine,
Yeah.
a great wine, and an outstanding wine. And I think this falls into the outstanding category. I'm very pleased.
winner, winner, chicken dinner. I'd eat this fried chicken for sure,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, should we do a sign off?
I mean, I don't really know what to say when I'm wearing a chain like this. Like,
You're wearing a chain, you're in the Teatro Cellar, one of the most fabulous cellars in all of Western Canada.
absolutely.
This
This has been a hell of a Saturday.
It's been a great Saturday.
Or I guess technically it's a Friday, right? We're Champagne Friday.
Yeah, it's Champagne Friday. Champagne Friday. I mean, as always, thank you, Andrew.
My pleasure.
Our in-house sommelier. Champagne Friday loves you.
Oh.
Thank you for bringing your knowledge and bringing such great bottles and, you know, really educating us and telling us more of these stories that we need to hear.
Well, I appreciate it. I love Champagne Friday, and I think you deserve a special little round of applause because we basically nailed this, with the exception of the non-alcoholic wine. I'll
Which
put an
was-
asterisk beside
Which
that.
is
sale.
very tricky.
Yeah.
I may have been a little bit of a brat for doing that to Andrew. I was a brat.
I was feeling like very good about the booth thing, and that brought me right back down to earth, and reminds me there's always something that you can learn. But well done to you, because you basically nailed both the wines like right away. So it just goes to show anybody can learn to do this. Just drink more.
More
wine.
bubbles.
Yes, drink more often.
Drink more bubbles.
And drink more better.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Congrats.